What is up, guys? This is Nate from Wrassle. Today I have a super special guest. This is Nico Megaludis, national champion for Penn State, multiple time national team member. So Nico, you are a super busy guy, incredible wrestler. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I've been wrestling for 30 years almost. I'm 33 and, from same school district as you. But, I went to Penn State. I wrestled at Franklin Regional as well in high school before that. And was on the international circuit for like nine years. I graduated in 16 and did that while I was also in a financial planning firm the last 10 years with my dad. So it's been great. I just had a son, Elias, who's 6 weeks old, so things were amazing. Life was good.
Like you said, you were on the international circuit for a number of years, right? So you recently just announced your retirement at was it the World Team Trials or?
Yeah.
So kind of walk me through the lead up to that, the emotions that led up to that moment.
It's been, I guess, since 2019, it's been kind of a roller coaster. I was never hurt my life. Very fortunate when I was 27, 28 years old. Tore my ACL, and then I was in 2019. Yeah, 2019, and then I came back for 2020. Supposed to be Olympic year, and it was like 6.5, 7 months later, I retore it. And then, of course, they canceled all that stuff. So then I re-got surgery. So I was out for basically 3 years. So I had no matches in 3 years. Came back in 2022. Had a pretty solid year. Won the Open. Placed at Dogu, which was a tough tournament in Turkey. And then I got a hand surgery, which, you're like a hand. It's kind of dumb, but it was like this bubble here that just wouldn't go down and couldn't do anything. And so I was out for the next year and then came back. And it's for the Olympic year. And, I didn't know if I would do that, because it was 57, and, I was just like, man, do I want to get down to 57 kilos? Because I was a lot bigger then than I was in college, and, went through that, had a successful year. Basically lost to another Franklin Regional guy every time. Spencer was obviously amazing. And then after that, I thought I was done. I think part of it was just it was 24/7 gig. Obviously, I owned my business still. I was going full throttle in that, plus watching my weight. And it was a lot. I was getting married in that year as well, so I was probably time to move on. And then, I just started getting back in the room. I was wrestling with you over here a little bit at Silent Victory, and then I just kind of started getting that fire back. And then in January, my meniscus was torn and couldn't bend my knee, and so I had to get it cleaned out again. And then, after that, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to give it one more run. And God willing, it goes great. And, I got there, and, I was wrestling really good in practice, but when you have 20 matches in 6 years, I don't care how much you practice, it's a pretty big disadvantage. And I just didn't feel like, I didn't wrestle bad, but just, wasn't up to 100% of what I knew I was capable of. I think just with not having experience. And then after that, I'm just like, you know what, I can't, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it to win. I mean, I was training all out, but you got to compete. I got to go to, overseas and do matches. I can't just throw myself in a ring against, my weight was pretty stacked. It was the toughest weight there. Can't just throw myself in without really competing in 6 years. And as soon as I was, as soon as I lost the quarters or whatever, I knew I was going to be done after that. I was like, I'm just going to, I've done everything I could, and I gave it my all, and it's time to move on in life. So it's a tough thing, because I still feel amazing. Like, my body doesn't feel 33, but it's the fact of it's time to move on.
Absolutely. No, I everybody looks back at your career and they always think about the grit, the way that you were able to respond to adversity, right? Like you said, whenever, even while you were hurt, you were still in the room. You were beating my butt. I mean, you could beat my butt today, right? So kind of walking from it it leads me to my next question, right? Looking at the end of your career and the last question, taking you back to college now, however many years ago, you were a national champion for Penn State, multiple time All-American. What do you think were the biggest contributing factors to making that jump to stand on the top of that podium, right? Like, we all have these dreams of being up there. What do you think making that dream a reality? What do you think the biggest factors were in creating that?
I really knew what I wanted, there's distractions, there's life, there's girls, there's this, there's that, I didn't let any of that, grades, whatever it is, I didn't let anything like interfere with my wrestling, because I knew what I wanted to do, because there's life, right? We're college guys, there's all these surrounding things. There's social media, there's this, there's that, there's people wanting you to go out, do this, do that, but you got to know what you want. And I clearly knew what I wanted, and that was to be a national champion. I think, and I did that obviously every 5 years. I didn't get it the first, 3 years when I was in college, but I think visualizing it 6 billion times and just knowing that it was going to happen. I think there's a difference between working hard and having confidence. You can work the hardest in the world, and that's great. I advise you to do all the right stuff, but that you also got to know that when you go out, you're going to win, and have that confidence of, not to sound cocky, but I'm the man. I'm going to win this match. I'm going to do whatever I can to win, because there's some people that just go out, they do the right things, but they don't have that, I'm going to win. I'm going to do whatever the heck I got to do to win. And I think I was pretty good at that, because it was a lot that took second, and third, so it kind of sucked, being that close. But I think the visualization, to kind of summarize it, knowing what I wanted, I just love wrestling. You got to love wrestling.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good way to say it, right? Know what you want to do. My senior year of college, we used to call it having swagger, right? Like you said, being the man, knowing that you're going to go out there and perform to the best of your abilities, right? So there's a lot of our community that has reached their goals. We just interviewed somebody like Maddox Shaw, right? Multiple time state champion, going to Ohio State, hopefully going to have a great career. But we have the other side of it too. We have these people that are working very hard towards their goals, maybe haven't reached them yet. What would be some advice that you would give to somebody that's in that boat of, I want to be a state champion, I want to be a national champion, but they're just not there yet, right?
Oh, you look at how many people. I mean, there's been a lot of guys who didn't win a state title, won a national title, didn't win a state title, are one of the best on the senior level circuit because they just kept sticking and staying consistent every single day, and waking up, being a good person, whatever they do. They're doing it with all their heart, glorifying God, and everything that they do, and trying to be the best they can be, really, in everything. And when you add those up, sometimes there's people who do everything right, and they maybe don't get to the top. I was never a world or Olympic champion, but I don't view myself as accomplishments, because if you view yourself as accomplishments, I don't care if you're David Taylor, Kyle Snyder, Dake, no one's happy, because you go out and you lose another time, or this happened or that happened. So I feel like people, they get screwed up when they view themselves as just, hey, I'm a national champion, I'm a world champion. Because it's great I won a national title, but that was 9 years ago. I have life. That's why you see a lot of people that just aren't happy because they didn't get a title, and I think that's nonsense. And that's great that you want to win, but that doesn't define you. So I would say it's just being consistent, in everything you do, your grades, how you treat people, your workouts, your work ethic, and it's gonna lead to success in life. It may not be a title, but maybe you're a great dad, or you're a great brother, or you help out someone tremendously, and those things can be a lot more important than a title.
Absolutely. Being that well-rounded person, right? Being a good brother, a good father, a good son, a good daughter, right? Having all of those attributes, it's a lot more than just wrestling, right? I think that's where a lot of the disconnect is everybody's so caught up in, I need to win this match. They get so worked up over, you know, being up here that they forget about the journey to get there.
Yeah, who it made you to be. I mean, of course we want to win, right? When you hear, people say about fun, like Penn State, of course we still want to win, right? But you're having fun through the process and enjoying it, knowing that this isn't my life. Wrestling's not my life. Like Coach Kale always made a good analogy of like people that go to war, they're fighting for their life every day. We get to go out and we get to play a game.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay. That makes sense. Play the game. These guys are fighting life and death,
That's a good analogy, truthfully. I like that, the way he puts that into perspective. Wrestling, at the end of the day, it's a sport. We get to go out and have fun while, there's a lot worse things going on in the world. So to kind of wrap this up, I want to give you your time. Any final thoughts, shout outs, anything that you want to say? I want to give you a couple minutes, just whatever you want to say, man. This is your time.
Yeah, no, I just, when I was done with practice, the kids, I just told them, have joy in everything that you do. This is something that, there's a lot of things in the world that can be thrown out at you, and just a lot of nonsense. So I think waking up every single day, I pray to God lead me to have joy and, peace and love for other people, and, guide me, to have the mindset that you want me to have, because it's easy to get tripped up. It's easy to think about, it could be your self status. It could be your business, your money. It could be health, like all these things that can be thrown at you of like, you see someone on TikTok and, they got an 8-pack or, and someone out there's like, oh, I don't have that. But you have something that they don't have. So focus on that joy that God designed you to be good and, what you're designed to do. And do that, with a purpose. So I think, those things out there, just because it's hard. I see so many people that are just depressed and have anxiety. They're on medications and this and that. A lot of it is stemmed from our self status of life and social media. So I think when you focus and you have joy, it's hard to have fear. Not to say the fear can't come to you. When you focus on the joy aspect, it'll crush the fear. So it's kind of what I said to the guys after, since that was on my mind, and I think that's so important, in this world.
Absolutely. Fear versus joy mentality, man. I loved it whenever you said it over there. I love it even more sitting next to you, hear you say it. Right? So thank you guys for watching. This has been Nico Megaludis. He's still on the mat all the time, kicking my butt, kicking everybody's butt. So make sure you guys go check him out. Shoot for the stars, even if you can't make it to the launch pad. Keep wrestling. Appreciate Nico for coming on today.
Thank you. See you guys.